Hello, I'm Armando. I'm your friendly neighborhood Toastmaster, Dungeon Master, Kung Fu martial artist, and an enthusiast of wrestling, video games, anime, Asian dramas, and other geeky stuff. And I welcome you to Gentlemen of Action, the channel that covers finance, business, self-improvement, and topics on how to be a man that gets stuff done. And today I want to discuss paying off your debts fast, specifically your credit cards. Credit cards are one of those things that everyone thinks they need, but in actuality, they're not needed. They just make life a lot more convenient. Credit cards make it easier to rent a car, reserve a hotel room, and take care of emergencies. Though you could just keep cash around or use your debit card instead to do all these things. But there's just something about getting something right now and paying it later that's pretty freaking sweet. But that's where you get into trouble, my friends. When everything can be paid later, you treat credit cards like income, and you use them to supplement your lifestyle. But that's not at all how you should use a credit card. But maybe you already learned this the hard way and you currently have a lot of credit card debts that you need to pay. And you are here because you wish to address this right away. Or even right now if you could. Well, let's get into strategies on how you can pay off those credit cards fast. Strategy number 1, make a budget and stick to it. Oh, the tried, tested, often recommended, and very much despised technique of creating a budget. I can hear the groaning coming through those screens right now. You're probably thinking to yourself, are you serious, bro? Make a budget? That's your advice? And yes, good sir. Or, madam, I am serious. Make a budget, but more importantly, stick to your budget. I know a lot of people who make a budget and track their expenses, but they never adhere to their own budgets. The best way to make a budget is either to write it out or keep track of it on a spreadsheet, such as Windows Excel. I do both, by the way. I keep a planner just like this for keeping track of all my bank account balances because I always know then what's coming in and what's going out. On an Excel spreadsheet, I track all my expenses and credit card balances. And I try to look at my finances once a week, typically on a Saturday. Though there's going to be cases where I may not be looking over my expenses that week, I try never to go more than 2 weeks without looking over my finances. Because I use these methods, I have not incurred an overdraft fee in well over 10 years. And also seeing my finances laid out on a spreadsheet or on paper, just like this, where I can see a bird's eye view of everything I owe, makes it so much easier to come up with a payment plan to pay off those credit cards. Because keeping track of it all in your head is just not as efficient. By the way, it's time for some shameless marketing. A very important reason why you should keep a budget is because this is the most effective way to set aside money for investing. Now, when you budget, make sure to always pay yourself first by setting aside some money to invest in your future wealth, even if it's only $100 a month to start. If you wish to try investing in the stock market but not lose your shirt in fees, or any other article of clothing for that matter in fees, I recommend that you use our affiliate, WeBull. WeBull is the stock trading app that I personally use to participate actively in the stock market. If you use my affiliate link, which is linked below, you and I can both get a couple of free stocks by just registering and making your first deposit of $100. On a side note, please do this after you come up with a solid payoff plan for your credit cards. Because remember, there's always an element of risk with investing, and you're not guaranteed to make money. You may even lose money. But real wealth requires risks and due diligence. So I definitely wish you a lot of luck, of course. And I myself started a WeBull account earlier this year with $100. And I'm in love with the layout and the functionality of this app. And I hope that you love it too. Continuing on, strategy number 2. Pay off the highest APR cards first. For all of you out there wondering, APR, what does that mean? Well, APR stands for annual percentage rate. Simply put, the higher your APR, the more you pay in fees and interest per month on your balances on that credit card. Another word for this is called the interest rate. The idea behind this payment strategy is that the higher APR cards are more expensive to keep. So for example, you have 2 credit cards, each with a $1,000 balance. Card A has an interest rate of 12%, while Card B has an interest rate of 28%. In theory, and for simplification's sake, let's say you maintain the same balance of $1,000 for 1 whole year. Card A will charge you $120 in interest fees because of their 12% APR, while Card B will charge you $280 in interest fees because they have an interest rate of 28%. Same balance, same amount of time, but the higher APR cost will cost you more. This is math, and it's very expensive math at that. So if you need to prioritize which cards to pay off first, it would be card B because of the higher APR of, once again, 28%. Now I know I'm throwing a bunch of acronyms around, such as APR, but you're probably thinking, what is my APR? And if you're not sure what your APR is on a credit card, you're not alone. A lot of people don't know. Even I was confused on what my APR was on several of my credit cards. So the easiest ways are either to ask your credit card company directly, but if you don't feel like talking to anyone on the phone, you can always just look at a credit card statement that you might have recently received. And even if you don't have a physical copy of a statement lying around, you can always go online and just see them as PDFs, because a lot of this information is readily available for you to research. And with this little bit of research, you can start making some informed decisions of which credit card to pay off first. Strategy number 3 is to keep your credit cards at home or out of reach. Now, I personally have 10 different credit cards, not including the store-related cards. And as a rule, I only keep 2 of them on my person. One is my everyday card. I buy stuff with it, pay it off. Buy stuff with it again, continue paying it off. And then my second card is my emergency, life happens card, which if I need a tow truck or need to go to the doctor, I have the second card on me for that unexpected expense. This strategy is good for eliminating the temptation of spontaneous spending. Imagine if I had all 10 cards on me at all times. I may accidentally purchase something or do credit card roulette at the register or while shopping on my laptop. I mean, I try to keep all the other cards in a secret drawer at home, and I only pull them out for very specific situations, such as going to a specific store or for actual emergencies. And by the way, it's actually very unlikely I'm going to have 8 emergencies in one day. And also, a sale at GameStop and Kohl's are not emergencies. Now, I have heard that some experts recommend to cut your cards up in order to avoid unnecessary spending, which, though that can be very satisfying, you should probably only do this if your situation is that severe. Because worst case scenario, you can always order a new card if need be. It's just that you will leave yourself in a position where emergencies may be more impactful on you by not having access to the credit cards right away. Now, other experts advise that when you pay off a credit card, that you should also close down the account, which, again, that can be very satisfying. But don't do that, because long term, that will affect your credit score negatively by having fewer positive accounts. Though I do have one exception to this rule, which is if you wish to close down an account, you can do it if you're trying to avoid unnecessary fees, such as an annual fee. Which is fine, because at that point you're trying to avoid an unnecessary expense for something that you're not looking to use all that much or get value from. Strategy number 4, use your debit card only or adopt an all-cash system. Now, this is a very effective strategy that is advocated strongly by the David Ramsey crowd, which nothing wrong with those folks. They actually got pretty good ideas. Now, this strategy does ensure that no new credit card debts are incurred, because you may only treat credit cards either as emergency tools or don't use them at all, which that's fine. You should probably not purchase any leisure items on credit because it will cost you more in the long term. Now, in theory, if you only use your bank account, debit card, or cash, you technically always live within your means, which is a good thing. Though this idea is very popular, it does have its weaknesses in making you more vulnerable in emergency situations. But you can always alleviate this vulnerability by always budgeting strictly and having an emergency fund. Strategy number 5, make more money. Because sometimes in order to pay something off fast, you just need more money. It's just the truth of the matter. So if you have the opportunity to work overtime, take it. If you need to temporarily get a second job, do it. And if you need to make additional income with some gigs online, go for it. Remember to follow this strategy with the following mindset. The point of making this extra money is to resolve your problems, pay off your debts, and potentially get to the point where you are growing your wealth. If you have a second job or if you need to work overtime in order to maintain your current lifestyle and you're still living beyond your means, you, sir, have a money spending problem and not a money making problem, because it's never about how much you make, it's always about how much you keep. It's always good to reassess the priorities to make sure that your priorities are in line with actual resolving your issues and wealth building. And as far as online options, there's a lot of ways to make monies online. You can simply sell things on Amazon or on eBay, or you can probably get gigs on freelance websites such as Fiverr or Upwork. Personally, I've done everything from sell on eBay to donating plasma, which is literal blood money. Another consideration is to start a business. And sure, you could do that. And you know me, I'm all about that entrepreneurship. But a business requires a lot more commitment and investment of both time and money. And truth be told, doing business is hard. Being a grunt does have its benefits, and sometimes you don't really need all the extra headaches. And also take into consideration that doing a lot of freelance work does not require you to actually be a business, an LLC, or in a corporation. You can just be an independent contractor, do a couple write-offs, and you'll get all the same benefits without any of the headaches of having to pay taxes or require a different tax return. And remember, if your goal is to get out of debt fast, starting a business can sometimes be a slow way to do it because you might accumulate more debt to just own the business. And there you have it, the 5 strategies to help in paying off your credit card debts fast. And did I miss something? Probably not, because how can you improve on perfection? But I'm all ears and I'm willing to try to make my videos better than perfect the next time around. But I will leave off on this very important note. Credit card debts are probably the most expensive debts you will ever have. So it is typically just best to keep all your credit card balances low or just avoid them altogether. Also, in reference to future videos, if there's a business or improvement topic that you would like to be mentioned or discussed, please let me know in the comments. I'm all ears to hear your recommendations. Also, if you like what I do around here, please give me a like, a subscribe, and feel free to also mention it in the comments what I'm doing so great or not so great. Actually, just what I'm doing great. I have low self-esteem. But also, make sure to check out the description on more ways to support me and my crazy dreams. And when you make that final credit card payment, make sure that you do it with gentleman style.